Go ahead.
So that's a top-down view of the ear, looking down on your head from the ceiling. So that's the outer ear,
Right.
ear canal, eardrum, ear bone chain with the first, second, and third ear bones. And it's this little red line right there,
Yeah.
the so-called stapedial tendon, which is attached to a muscle which can misfire like any other muscle in your body. So, you know, if your eye twitches, then your eye twitches. If that twitches, you hear this sort of typewriter sensation, or you know, the popping, crinkling. You know, the sound that you described with the flushing toilet, that's classic for this.
Okay.
Right? So, you know, you fit the bill pretty well. And it can come and go, you know, so just like a came, it can go away, but it can come back. So things that tend to make it worse are things like stress, fatigue, anxiety, lack of sleep, okay, so any of the above. But I think given your description with this, you know, sort of twitching that you're getting, or fasciculations with
throughout every muscle, like it's almost like
yeah, that's a little odd. Okay, so you know, usually we see this in isolation. I can't rule out something else going on neurologically.
Okay.
So that would definitely be worth a visit to the neurologist.
You have a
to see if there's
recommendation of someone?
I mean, like probably Kirk Levy.
Okay.
I'll write it down.
All right.
He's nearby.
All right.
Okay. So they can look at, you know, muscle testing, you know, nerve conduction testing, and you know, see if there's anything going on there. But there are various ways to treat this. One is, you know, I just asked you these questions. You don't give any, you know, symptoms of migraine, but there's a known linkage between this condition and atypical migraine.
Okay.
So sometimes it's worth a trial of some dietary modifications, behavioral modifications to see if that helps. Okay.
All right.
Worth looking into. I'll write those down here for you.
What about like electrolyte, like magnesium or something like that?
The primary can check those pretty easily,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, right.
That's
So
straightforward.
it's unlikely the electrolyte, right? You're thinking, or?
Well, pretty unlikely, but
Okay,
you know,
yeah.
again, that's for your primary to sort out.
Okay, all right.
So the dietary modifications. One of the supplements for that is magnesium.
Okay.
Tends to help. The other possibility is anti-seizure medications. I believe one of them is Tegretol. Okay, but I wrote that down for you. But the neurologists are the ones who give those medications.
Oh, you don't.
That's not our field.
All right. Okay.
Right? So, you know, basically you'd have to weigh in with them. The third option is to section that tendon. Excuse me. So, you know, basically to go in and actually lyse that tendon with a laser, okay, which is a surgery, but outpatient, full anesthesia. It takes like 20 minutes. It's through the ear canal. The risks are otherwise quite low, but you are sectioning a functional thing, okay? It's there to contract and stiffen the ear bone chain in response to loud sound. So, you know, you've removed that function, which means that you have sound sensitivity, okay? So you know, dish falls or whatever, you know, you would hear that more acutely in that ear. All right, you've removed that protective mechanism.
I really dislike loud sounds. Like, I mean, if someone drops something, like my wife, when I'm recording this, if she drops something, I get really irritated.
Yeah. So.
So maybe I already have certain sensitivities, and now I would be even more sensitive.
With that surgery, yeah.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
So, you know, obviously we're putting in all these
Right.
options before surgery, but you know, I have to tell you what all the options are. So,
Okay.
you know, we only do that in extreme situations, and that doesn't always give you full relief either. Okay, because even though you've removed the connection to the third ear bone, that muscle is still twitching, right? You can still hear that a little bit. All right, it's just not connected anymore, so you don't hear it as sharply, but you can still sometimes hear that muscle twitching a little bit.
Those are the only three options. There's no fourth option.
No, there's several options here.
Yeah.
Okay, but you know, you definitely need a more thorough workup with a neurologist because of this whole fasciculation issue.
All right. Yeah, it's almost like when I look at fasciculation and this issue, it's almost like now it's the stapedius's turn, right? That it went from all these other areas, which can still be triggered. I mean, I really get worried when my intercostals clench up, because I gotta wait for some time. The stapedius is acting very differently. Yeah. And I couldn't find too much research publications around dystonia and the stapedius, and I mean I'm not reading in all the right places then. You're saying that there's a lot more data
It's
around
pretty
that?
much the gamut of treatment for this
Yeah.
condition.
Okay.
There is also Botox. I should mention that as well, but
How is
you
that?
know, well, it paralyzes the muscle.
Right. How is that as far as clinical?
It's an injection into the ear,
Uh-huh.
right? Which actually we can do here in the office, but to be perfectly honest, the success rate with that is not that great.
Really?
So
Okay.
you know, I've tried it a few times. It hasn't done much.
And it's not even dose dependent. You raise the dose, it doesn't do anything more.
We give enough.
Oh. Okay.